When the sports cars on Chang'an Avenue zoomed by, the gasps in the coal pile were being drowned out by the noise. I'll take you to read a book intensively every day. Today I'm bringing you Asterisk, the Supernova Era Asterisk. Chapter 6. The Carnival and Confusion in the Children's World. After solving the crisis of power and water outages, the children were like wound-up springs that suddenly lost their tension. They went crazy all at once. The first to let loose were the city kids. They found that the supplies left by the adults were inexhaustible. The canned food in the warehouse piled up like mountains. There were so many clothes and shoes that everyone could change 3 sets a day. The car keys were left in the steering wheels with no one to care. So, Chang'an Avenue in Beijing became a racetrack. 10-year-old kids stepped on the gas and drove the sports cars like the wind, scaring the people on the roadside to hide behind the trees. The Bund in Shanghai was turned into an open-air disco. The children turned up the stereo to the maximum volume, shaking the fish in the river out of the water. The most absurd thing happened in Guangzhou. A group of kids stripped all the jewelry from the mall, strung them into necklaces, and hung them on the dogs' necks. Then walked the dogs around the streets. This isn't about rebuilding civilization. It's just a carnival party. Hui Hua stood on the Tiananmen rostrum, watching the kids scurrying around like ants below, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Xiao Meng beside him was sighing over the ledger. If we keep wasting like this, we'll have nothing to eat next month. Half of the compressed biscuits in the warehouse are already gone. The kids have been throwing them around as toys. Glasses pushed his glasses up, pointing to a building in the distance. Look over there. Only to see a group of kids standing on the rooftop, throwing RMB notes down to the street below. People below were fighting desperately for the money. Money is just waste paper in their eyes. He shook his head. The rules established by the adults are collapsing faster than the power grid. To see the real situation, the 3 kids decided to inspect different places. The first stop was a coal mine in Shaanxi. Before going down the well, the mine manager, a 12-year-old boy with a coal-smeared face, gave them safety helmets. Uncles used to have 2 sips of white wine before going down the well. They said it could give them courage. He scratched his head. We don't have white wine. Is it okay to have a can of Coke? Hua Hua took the Coke. Just as he unscrewed the cap, he was startled by the noise from the well, and his hand trembled. After getting off the elevator, the tunnel was as black as ink. Only the beams of the miners' lamps were flickering. The young miners were carrying coal baskets taller than themselves, staggering on the rails. Some kids slipped and fell. With the coal baskets falling on them, they couldn't get up for a long time. How old are you? Xiao Meng grabbed a boy. Only his eyes and teeth were white on his dirty face. No. The boy gasped for breath. My dad was a miner before. He said coal mining could support the family. But you don't need to support the family. There's enough food. Hua Chua said. The boy lowered his head. If we don't mine coal, the power plants will have no electricity. The city kids won't be able to drive race cars. These words hit Hui Hui like a stone. He suddenly remembered that he had complained about the poor TV signal yesterday, without thinking about who was working hard underground. When leaving the coal mine, the mine manager stuffed a black lump into their hands. This is jet coal. You can carve things with it. My dad said it's the tears of the earth. The second stop was a nursery in Shanghai. There were over 100 babies here. The oldest was 1 year old. The youngest had just been born. The nursery teachers were all 11 or 12-year-old girls. They still had baby fat on their faces. But they had to change diapers and feed the babies. They cried all night last night. A nursery teacher said with red eyes. The baby in her arms was pulling her hair. 3 babies have a fever. We don't know what medicine to give them. We can only hold them and rock them. Xiao Meng looked at the mountains of milk powder cans in the corner, suddenly noticing that the expiration dates were almost up. Why don't you change to fresh ones? The warehouse is too far away. No one wants to go and carry them. The nursery teacher lowered her head. The city kids said, taking care of babies is a girl's job. They want to play live-action CS. Tue Hua suddenly got angry. Play? Do they know who these babies are? They might be their younger brothers or sisters. But getting angry didn't help. When they returned to the city, they saw the same scene. The kids gathered in the square to play games. Those who lost would throw their phones on the ground. Someone turned on the fire hydrant and swam in the puddle, letting the water flood into other people's houses. The most annoying thing was, a group of kids burned the library books to keep warm in order to grab the game consoles. This must be the confusion that Glasses talked about. Xiao Meng sat on the steps, looking at the chaos in front of her. They don't know what to do. They can only play around aimlessly. Just then, news came from the United States. President David was going to hold an ice cream feast at the White House, inviting kids from all countries to attend. No way, the LV gang was the first to object. These American kids just know how to mess around. We still have serious things to do. Pua Hua shook his head. We have to go to see what they're up to, and also let them know that we're not easy to bully. So, the 3 kids led a delegation to fly to Washington. As soon as they got off the plane, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. There were mountains of ice cream on the White House lawn. Chocolate waterfalls were flowing down from the roof. The kids were rolling around in their swimsuits. A helicopter was flying overhead with huge marshmallows hanging from it. Whoever grabbed them could keep them. President David was wearing a cowboy hat, riding an elephant and galloping on the lawn, followed by a group of bodyguards holding cokes. This is just unbelievable. Glasses pushed his glasses up. They're treating the country like an amusement park. At the dinner, David stood up with an ice cream cup in his hand. Guys, we're the masters of the world now. No need to go to school. No need to work. Play however you want. I propose to turn Antarctica into a super large ski resort and use the Pacific Ocean as a swimming pool. There was a cheer below. Only Hui Hua stood up. President David, have you ever thought about what will you do when the ice cream runs out? What will you do when the coal is all mined? What will you do when the babies grow up with no one to take care of them? David was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter. Hui, you're so much like my dad. Always asking what to do. Don't worry. The adults left so many things. There's enough for us to play until we grow up. Xiao Meng took out a small notebook. According to my statistics, the world's oil will only last for another 30 years. The food reserves can only last for a maximum of 5 years. If we don't farm and mine now, everyone will go hungry in 5 years. 5 years. David shrugged indifferently. Let's worry about it 5 years later. Maybe by then, we can invent a machine that allows us to live by breathing air. This dinner ended on a sour note. On the way back to the hotel, Hu Hua saw a black homeless man on the roadside, picking up ice cream from the trash can to eat. Who's that? he asked the translator. He used to be the White House chef, but now he's been driven out by the kids because the cakes he made weren't sweet enough. Hua suddenly felt a tightness in his chest. He remembered the young miners in Shanghai, remembered the nursery teachers in Shanghai, remembered those unattended babies. These American kids were only concerned about their own fun, forgetting that there were people paying the price for their carnival. You must have realized, Hua said to his companions beside him. This carnival won't last long. It's like blowing a balloon. It will burst someday. Sure enough, before long, bad news came from the United States. Since no one was in charge of the refinery, a fire burned down half of Texas. The kids on the farm drove the tractors into the river to catch fish. All the crops in the fields were left to waste. The most serious thing was, a group of kids secretly took an aircraft carrier out for an adventure, but it hit a reef and sank. David finally panicked. He called Hua for help. What should I do? Who would my dad turn to when he faced this kind of thing? Turn to yourself. Hua said coldly. You're the president, not the amusement park director. After hanging up the phone, the three kids sat on the White House lawn, watching the fireworks in the distance gradually fade away. Xiao Meng suddenly said, I kind of miss Teacher Zheng. If she were here, she would definitely say, it's okay to play, but don't forget about serious business. Glasses nodded. The children's world can't just be about playing. There has to be responsibility and a sense of duty. Otherwise, it's no different from the world of beasts. Hua looked up at the starry sky. The Rosette Nebula was still shining quietly. Let's go back. We need to make everyone understand that the carnival is over, and it's time to get to work. But they didn't know. Bigger troubles were yet to come. The ice sheet in Antarctica began to melt, exposing the fertile land. Kids from all countries were getting greedy. The United States secretly sent its troops to the edge of Antarctica to grab resources. And those kids who were numbed by the carnival didn't realize yet. A survival game had quietly begun. In the next chapter, let's see what kind of thrilling war games these kids will play on the Antarctic ice sheet. After all, when survival is at stake, even a pretend game can turn into a real fight. That's the end of this chapter. If you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Shiju. See you in the next video.